Welcome back, guys. This is Zach Greenfield. Welcome to Quick and Dirty Marketing and another video we're going to do today on the recipe for good marketing. So stick with me, and I'm going to give you the 3 ingredients you gotta have. All right, so welcome back. So I was given a webinar this morning, and it was a sales training webinar. And we got all these people on there, and of course we're going over stuff. And this is a longer format. It's like 16 weeks, and so we're able to dive deep. Now here on YouTube, we try to keep things fairly condensed, which is always a struggle because there's so much to tell. But I wanted to boil down what the 3 areas that I think are mission critical for good marketing. Now, in the past, I've done some videos about what makes a good marketer, and that's kind of a mindset discussion. This is really the areas of focus for what you're going to put out. So the first thing to talk about is you got to have the first, let's call it the first ingredient. The first ingredient is you've got to have a good offer. Now, there's kind of 2 buckets that fall into, and I think Elon Musk said this quite well, that if you have a new product, like that's a new, that solves a new problem, for instance, that people, didn't know they have, or it's like a new piece of technology or something, you're kind of standing alone, and what your offer looks like and what your product looks like doesn't necessarily have to be, evolved, if you will. It's almost like it's a beta. So if that's you, the pressure isn't quite as high. However, that's not most of us. And the other side of that discussion is that if you're going into an existing market and there's existing competitors with existing products and services, then your offer, your value proposition, or what you're bringing to market needs to be exponentially higher in terms of value or capability in order for it to be competitive with those entrenched operators. Okay, so if you're trying to jump into the local market for whatever your service is, like let's say you're an accountant, there's other accountants and they've got a lot of clients and they're in your neck of the woods. In order to jump into that market and open up your accounting practice, you're going to need to have a strong offer in order to pull existing customers away from these entrenched operators that are established, and or get new people that are just looking for an accountant into your office for a consult because they're likely to want to go to somebody who's established. So you're in a much more competitive situation there. So that's most of us. Most of us have to really work hard to put out a great value proposition, great offer, because we are in a competitive situation. So that's ingredient number 1. Okay. Now, ingredient number 2 is the messaging. And the messaging around this offer has to be solid, right? And that means that you got to have good imagery. What I always tell our clients here is, quality professional photography helps really tell the story, like, substandard images, even website, doesn't matter where they are. If you're selling a product, of course, you got to do good product photography. But I think where people get a little, loose is they're not necessarily a product. So they have a service, they're putting together this website or other marketing collateral. And that's where the imagery, kind of gets confusing, because you're not necessarily shooting your own stuff, although you probably should be, but you definitely want to have appropriate, professional images, well-written copy and engaging text, and the messaging has got to be clear and concise. Now, here are the 3 that, I got another 3 for you today. 3 little bits that you've got to have in this messaging, right, are what it is, okay, what you got, basically, all right, the benefit that the person, the buyer, the consumer is going to get from this service or product, and then the action that they need to take. So that's the W, the B, and the A. Okay, what you got? The benefit and the action to take, the WBA. That is got to be in your messaging in one form or another, but you got to hit those three things. Your messaging's got to be clear and concise. Okay, and then that brings us to the final ingredient of good marketing, and that is consistency. And there's a great speech from Steve Jobs about, success and consistency and not giving up. And if you haven't seen it, it's worth a look. But the difference oftentimes between one successful competitor and one who's not or ends up getting washed out of the market, a lot of times is just sheer consistency. And I've done other videos on this channel about being consistent and ritual and all that. But it really is one of the most important ingredients to marketing, is to be there all the time, present, so that when your ideal customer, their problem sort of boils over, you're going to be there with that helping hand and your solution to help them, through and change their lives, with this thing you're offering. So if you're not consistent, though, so many of those opportunities are going to go missed. And, that's just, of course, going to impact revenue and your long-term viability. So let's just go back quickly. I like to wrap it up, but your first piece is your offer. And, that has got to be competitive in a competitive environment. It doesn't necessarily mean cheap. Let me add that in. When I say offer competitive, I don't mean be cheap. I don't mean be the lowest price. I mean be the best value, which is a completely different discussion from price. Be the best value. Offer the most sizzle, the best product in the market. Even if you're more expensive, just be the best, okay? And then the next one is that messaging. It's got to be clear, concise, and have the WBA ingredients. And then the last one is you got to be consistent, month in, let's put it this way, week in and week out, month in, month out, quarter in, quarter out, and every year to grow your business. We'll see you on the next one. Hopefully that dials you into the main three areas that you've got to be focused on in your marketing all the time in order to be successful. Go ahead and give us a like on this video, hit the alert, and you'll be notified when we do another one, which is pretty much every week. So we'll see you on that next episode of Quick and Dirty Marketing.